So I called my talk Seeing Abundance, Living Abundance, because first we need to see it. Abundance can be all around, but if we don't see it, we won't experience it. Abundance is the nature of this expanding universe. It's the nature of the one power and one presence. Let's take a moment now together to notice the abundance. What abundance is here right now? Grass. Us. Fresh air. Plants. Birds. Sky. Each other. Whole rainbow of colors, right? Yep. What about all that food? Did you guys forget about the food? That's right on deck over there. We got our gazebo, our labyrinth, this beautiful peace park. We have each other, so important. We have these bodies. And so often we notice what's not quite what we want it to be. But guess what? Everyone's been breathing since you got here. Everyone has a heart that's beating. And we have eyes to see and ears to hear. And later, the sense of taste is going to come in really handy. So we have all these things. What about inner qualities? What is the abundance of inner qualities that are here? Love? Peace? Compassion? Faith? Life? Respect? Serenity? Community? Kindness? Love? Joy? Harmony? We forgot some of the powers. We got more powers. Zeal, imagination, wisdom, strength, power, right? Life, presence, release, right? Release, understanding, creativity, life. Did someone say life? Yes. So all these things are here. They're all here if we take a moment to notice. So thank you. And in Unity Metaphysics, we talk about 4 levels of consciousness. Does anyone remember them? I'm going to start you off. Victim is the first level, right? It's the belief that maybe the world's out to get me, that there's lack. We gotta get out there and get what we need, right? Then there's victor. Victor. So we move from victim to victor. I can handle this. I can do it. I, little I. Not the spirit, but we're going to force our way through. We're going to make it happen. We're going to hoard. We're going to get, right? What's the next one? Vessel. Right. So vessel, we're moving along. So we're believing that there's a seed of God in us and that God is using us, acting through us, right? But what is our last step? Anyone remember the word they use? It's all V's. Verity. It's Verity. Almost my daughter's name. My daughter's name is Verity. Verity. So this is the realization of our oneness. This is the I am. This is knowing. This is realizing. And that all those qualities we mentioned are also us, right? It's the all in all, and it's this abundance that's in you and me. It's all in us. There is no quality that we mentioned that is not ours. The love, the power, the imagination, the generosity. We may think it's not, but it is. So again, we have to see it, believe it, and then it becomes obvious in our lives once we have our eyes open. John chapter 10, verse 10, I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. Amen. Who is the I here? I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. Who's the I? Jesus, okay? And I also heard Christ. Who is the they? All of us, right? So Jesus came that we may have life and have it abundantly, right? All of us. Now, metaphysically, though, someone already said it. Who is Jesus? It's the Christ consciousness in us, right? So that's the verity level of consciousness. It's there. It's right there. if we just open our eyes to it. So, again, the spirit of life, this abundance is already here. We see it, we believe it, and we realize it. Luke chapter 6, verse 38 is, "Give, and it will be given to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be put into your lap." So this verse is about the flow of abundance. If my hands are already full, if I'm clutching something, if I'm afraid to release, I won't be able to receive. Imagine that I decide that I'm only going to take in oxygen and I'm not going to give away any of my carbon dioxide. So here I go. Okay? Not going to work. We can see that doesn't work so simply, right? I have to release or I can't take in. It just works that way. And the trees need it. We're getting to that, right? So the opposite won't work either, right? I can't just take, or give. It has to be that flow. Abundance is flowing. So, as Eve said, the trees, the grass, the flowers, they're gifting us with this oxygen, and we're gifting back the carbon dioxide. It's a flow, a relationship. It's natural. It's how it works. We can't just take, and we can't just give. I'll tell you, I see a lot of giving in this community, and I'm just going to mention that sometimes I see a discomfort, a reticence to receive a gift, a compliment, some support. There's no giving without receiving. We should be on both ends of that. So think of a time that in your heart you really wanted to give something to someone, you got them a gift, and then what did you want their response to the gift to be? "Oh, you shouldn't have. Oh, I couldn't possibly. That wasn't necessary." Or, "Wow, I love it." Or just, "Thank you so much for thinking of me." How different, right? How different. The words are simple, but they reflect that openness to the flow. The system of communication and relating, called nonviolent communication, is based on the premise that we all desire to contribute. We all love to help meet the needs of others. Isn't that true? Doesn't it feel good? Today is a perfect example. We have Richard over there grilling. Christy did shopping for us. We have all the financial contributions which were used to purchase the grill items and the drinks. We had Don setting up and Thomas and the music. We had Michelle and many Michelle and Millie and I'm trying to remember everybody. My mind's going blank. Judy was everybody that was helping, Sharon, to make things ready for this. That's abundance. Eve makes coffee every week. She made it today, put it in carafes. We need our coffee. It's coming, right? We brought potluck dishes. So many people have given their gifts to make this service and picnic happen. There's Mary Beth. I didn't mention Mary Beth doing the platforming, and we had Joyce doing the daily word. So many people giving, and who's receiving? It's back and forth, right? We want everyone to receive the offerings with joy. We want everyone to feel their belonging here. That's what this community is. So Marshall Rosenberg, who developed nonviolent communication, said, "What I want in my life is compassion, a flow between myself and others based on mutual giving from the heart." And again, I'm going to say it over and over. In order to be able to give, to contribute, someone needs to receive. When we aren't open to receive, it's like putting an internal wall up, blocking the flow. It's right there, the flow's right there, but we can cut ourselves off from it. See if you can notice in your life if you do this and start to bring awareness to it. You might affirm, "I am the flow of abundance. I give and receive with ease. I am the flow of abundance. I give and receive with ease." Eric Butterworth, in his book, In the Flow of Life, says, churches have failed to teach the truth about giving primarily because they have been concerned with their own need to receive. Gotta pay the bills. That's reality, right? Yes and no. Certainly on the material plane, we have bills to pay, and we're working together to sustain our vision for Unity of Buffalo. But we don't ever want to, I rewrote this a couple times. We want to simultaneously remember and live from the truth that we are living in the world of abundance, that Spirit is moving in all we do. We are in the flow, giving and receiving. Marshall Rosenberg in Nonviolent Communication, A Language of Life, says people often do things for the following reasons: to get money, for approval, to escape punishment, to avoid shame, to avoid guilt, or out of duty. At Unity, we're all about the energy. Do any of these, approval, shame, guilt, duty, sound like the energy of Christ consciousness? Christ consciousness is brimming with the will to love, create, and share. When we're rooted in the awareness of our Christ consciousness, we give and receive with heart and relaxed openness. We give out of the flow. We receive from the flow. Eric Butterworth again. True giving is not something you do to or for someone, but it is your consent to let the flow of God flow through you to that someone. Whereas the emphasis is usually on what you give to, the most important thing is what you give from. So the most important thing is what you give from. So are we giving Are we giving what we give from shame, guilt, duty, or are we giving from the feeling of joy, love, creativity within that wishes to be expressed in the world? The first type of giving is tight and calculated. The other is free and open. It is balanced to match our inner knowing of what is our right and perfect offering, what serves our well-being, as well as the well-being of the people and places we love and this beautiful world we live in. Heartfelt giving is an inner discernment. It is a flow. Now, I want to acknowledge that we may not always feel abundant on the human plane. We may have something going on with our health, or be experiencing a financial issue, or we might be facing some disrespect from others. On the material plane, we are living in a world with a collective conscience that may be presenting us with some barriers. Sexism, racism, homophobia, economic disparity. Out of a mental disconnect to the reality of abundance, there are those who are hoarding. The top 1% wealth-wise hold a third of the wealth, and that's about the same amount of wealth as the bottom 90%. Does that sound like a free flow of abundance? Gandhi said, "The world has enough for everyone's need, but not for everyone's greed." It is a part of a collective conscience that is perpetually and desperately seeking more. It is the opposite of the spirit with which we are coming together today to share in our abundant picnic and fellowship. We are creating what we wish to see in the world here today by sharing our gifts and receiving others' contributions. No matter how the material world appears, we have the choice to lean into the flow. We may not win the lottery, but we can find our way with discernment. Butterworth says that in this process of giving and receiving, the important thing is to consciously give way to the divine process. The divine process is the flow of abundance. When I think of someone who consciously gave way to the divine process, I think of Reverend Johnny Coleman. Who's familiar with Reverend Coleman? Okay, we got some. We should have more. I want to have more. So for a recent class, I did a short paper, and I would like to share it. And I wrote it on Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman. Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman is an example of an individual who lived by faith and unity principle. Her story shows that, as she liked to say, it works if you work it. In Reverend Coleman's life, she came upon many potential roadblocks and challenges. What was different about Reverend Coleman was that time and again she remembered the essence of her being and made the choice to stride further into life with the energy of faith. She could see beyond the circumstances in front of her, and she would find her way to create something new. Growing up black in the segregated South didn't stop Johnny Coleman from getting a college degree in 1943. Then, after beginning her career as a teacher, she was informed by a doctor that she had an incurable disease. Seeing a Unity publication at her mother's house, she was intrigued by the ideas within. Johnny Coleman immersed herself in Unity teachings, beginning to attend classes at Unity Village. And not only did she live more than 6 months, she lived to the age of 94. Although the Unity School of Christianity had only had a couple black graduates and did not allow black students to stay on campus, Coleman dedicated herself to the studies of truth. A moment of choice came when, during a rainstorm and with a broken down car, she arrived late to campus, saying, "Enough is enough." Her fellow students, no doubt seeing the hypocrisy in Unity's practice of segregation while teaching oneness, and no doubt being stirred by the power present in Coleman, stood with her in calling out the school. Coleman was then given on-campus accommodations, though still segregated. Coleman nevertheless stayed the course. She was the third black person to graduate from the Unity School, and she was also the first black person to serve as president of the Association of Unity Churches. As I read her story, I wondered at what point I would have given up if I faced what she did. I wondered if I would have let myself be satisfied in an unsatisfactory situation. But Reverend Coleman always seemed to have a larger vision. She had the ability to accept what was without resigning herself to the status quo. She believed in what wasn't yet manifest. Reverend Coleman eventually disaffiliated from Unity to found the Universal Foundation for Better Living, a New Thought denomination which eventually was set on 32 acres in the Chicago area and which grew to have 30 member churches and study groups in the U.S. and beyond. She also founded the Johnny Coleman Theological Seminary, whose website today states, We train leaders who are risk takers and trendsetters. These are people who are able to think outside the box. Certainly what Reverend Coleman did herself. And at her megachurch, the Christ Universal Temple, she preached, and she was preaching unity principles. She was preaching the message of Charles and Myrtle Fillmore. Preaching it on a Sunday, she'd get 4,000 people. I think more than one service. And she had a membership of 20,000 people. Barack Obama spoke at her church, both as a senator and as a president. She also wrote the book, Open Your Mind and Be Healed, which is richly to the point and practical. According to an article in Forbes that came out in May of 2025, quote, she created real infrastructure, influenced public life, and shaped economic futures of her congregants as well as her community. This points to the fact that there's so much more that I could say about Reverend Johnny Coleman. Now, as I was writing this report, I realized that Johnny Coleman's initials were JC. And this made me smile, since these are the initials of Jesus Christ. It's not his last name, we know, but JC. Sometimes he's called JC. So it fits so well because she certainly was a way shower to many. So when I get stuck in ideas of lack, when the world starts to look stacked against me, stacked against us, not going right, I might ask myself, what would JC do? And some lessons we glean from Reverend Coleman's life are, we can see reality, not have blinders on, but not let the opinions of others define us or stifle us. Discern our inner flow, have a vision, and move toward it. And we can give and receive from within. As Reverend Johnny Coleman said, it works if you work it. In a TED Talk, Designing for Generosity, Nipun Mehta, not sure if I'm saying that right, outlines 4 shifts toward what he calls giftivism, the practice of radically generous acts that change the world. They are a shift from consumption to contribution, transaction to trust, isolation to community, scarcity to abundance. So the whole idea of this giftivism is that we start to give without thought of return. And I want to talk about this Peace Park. And this wasn't part of my lesson, but it became part of my lesson. We have put so much into this Peace Park, not looking to get a return. There are so many people over so many years that have built things, hooked things up, planted things, tended things, had bricks engraved, all these things, without looking for a return. Well, today, as I was getting ready, a man came up to me who was using the peace pipe. Peace pipe. That's something else. Past that, but Peace Park with his dog, and he came up and he said, "Oh, are you from the church?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm the new spiritual leader." He introduced himself. We were chatting, and he said, I'm gonna come back. I want to give you a check. We're moving, but I have used this Peace Park for 11 years, and it has meant so much to me. I think he did what I'm doing now when he said this. And he talked about just how much this place has given to him. And we were not expecting a return. He handed a check to me that he wants to be used for the upkeep of this Peace Park for $20,000. That's abundance. That is our abundance. And it is in this giving without looking to receive and not knowing, we don't know who we've touched here. How deeply, right? That he could come here with his dog, with his wife, with his... That abundance is here. It's now. It's flowing. We can give and we can receive. And we can create that Unity of Buffalo vision, a world of love, peace, and abundance for all.